Today I'll be trying something new. I'm Movie-holics Anonymous, and this is my ranking of Christopher Nolan's movies from worst to best. Christopher Nolan's a very visionary filmmaker, helped inspire me to want to be a writer. The way that he handled such big themes and ideas in his action blockbusters, which of course, True Audiences love, but there's always something deeper within his movies. There's always something layered that means more than people realize, and that's what I love about his films, is that they're not simple and you can gain a lot from rewatching them. So, my least favorite Christopher Nolan movie is Insomnia, which stars Robin Williams, Al Pacino, and Hilary Swank, so it was stacked with Oscar talent, and it was one of his first mainstream movies, and it has a good atmosphere, it has good performances, there are suspenseful scenes, but overall the film itself is just the only Christopher Nolan film that really left me going like, that wasn't great. That wasn't as ambitious as his other movies, and there's some themes in there that are good, but it's just not a great movie. It's entertaining while it lasts, but it's his most bad movie I've seen so far, honestly, and so I would give it a 3 out of 5, and so it would rank 7th on the list. And number 6 would be Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey and a bunch of other people, and it had excellent performances as well, and it was a very visionary, visually and just ambitious movie. And yes, it borrows from the Odyssey and 2001: A Space Odyssey heavily, but it is a really well-made film. The special effects were dazzling. The other worlds they go on are just really well designed. They're really well thought out, and there's some really suspenseful sequences, and Hans Zimmer's score, as he always does for Christopher Nolan, is amazing. And there are some flaws, though. There's some plot holes, things that they just don't address throughout the movie, like how their tire will be messed up on a car and they don't fix it, but then magically they can just drive the car and it's fine from place to place. And how they have the ending avoids what the whole movie builds up to, a very emotional moment that should have been powerful. They skip over it. They barely even touch it, and they go for a cliche happy ending, basically. But there were some great moments in the final act that were different, but it just ultimately ends not as well as it could have been. And so I give it a 3.5 out of 5, and that's why it's number 6. For number 5 is The Dark Knight Rises, which when it came out, it was one of my favorite movies at the time it came out. I was a big fanboy of Nolan's then. Didn't really criticize any of his movies. I gave it a 5 out of 5 when it first came out. But now it's a 4 out of 5 because I've thought about it, and there's some really bad plot holes, some things that don't make sense, that don't add up, and there's pacing issues. It was just a lot to make Batman go from being retired to unretiring to getting his butt kicked by Bane to being in a pit until he comes back again as Batman, just to face Bane for a final showdown and to fight another villain that comes into the picture at the end that you finally realize, oh, they're the main villain. And that twist wasn't as fulfilling as Nolan meant it to be, and the way that Bane was offed wasn't as fulfilling as Nolan meant it to be, and the editing in the final action scene is a little questionable during the car chase, and there's a few things that didn't add up, and a few things that just didn't work as well as Nolan intended, but the ambition and the mythic nature of the story are inspiring, and the score is great, and Christian Bale's great, and Tom Hardy gave a great performance, and it was a very entertaining movie. It just didn't quite live up to The Dark Knight or Batman Begins. It's not his best movie, so it's a 4 out of 5, and that's why it's number 5. And for number 4, we have The Prestige, which stars Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, and it's a very entertaining movie about two magicians who become rivals and their entire lives become about each other, and it's about how you could be the best of friends, but one thing, if you hold on to it, can destroy a whole friendship, and it can create a rivalry that controls everything in your life, and that if you don't let go of things, you lose everything. And I know that technically there's a winner at the end of the movie, but no one really wins. Everyone is compromised or becomes something that they weren't by the end of the movie, and everyone has a price to pay. It's a very ambitious movie. It's slower than his other movies, but with Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale carrying a movie, you can make it slower. And Christopher Nolan wisely did that. That's why it's number 4. It's an excellent film. You should really check it out. It wasn't as widely seen as his Dark Knight movies or Inception, so I would recommend it if you're a big Christopher Nolan fan. to be clear, I gave The Prestige a 5 out of 5, and it's an excellent movie. And number 3 is Batman Begins, which I also gave a 5 out of 5. At the time it came out, it was my favorite superhero movie ever made because it redefined Batman. It made you care about Bruce Wayne. Liam Neeson's a terrific character in the movie, and Christian Bale just really nailed it as Batman, and I love his voice. And I love all the one-liners that are funny. Some of them people find cheesy, but I like them. And that's something that other movies that imitate the Dark Knight's movies really fail to do, is be funny with the dry humor that Christopher Nolan always puts in his movies to help keep it from being too dark. And it really, the fact that it balances so well is even more impressive when you watch Man of Steel and The Amazing Spider-Man. And you realize how much those movies borrow from it, and yet how much better Batman Begins is, and how Batman Begins is like a fun blockbuster where there's a Batmobile on top of buildings, but it's also a serious movie about the power of fear and how to overcome your fears. And it's a really incredible movie. It really changed filmmaking, inspired me to love movies even more. So I owe a lot to that movie. And number 2, and this was the hardest choice to make because I love The Dark Knight. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies I've ever seen, but ultimately it's number 2. It has one of the best villains in filmmaking history with the Joker. Heath Ledger gave a great performance, and it's sad that his life fell apart and he killed himself, but his performance was incredible. He was the ultimate evil. He was the perfect foil to Batman, and seeing Christian Bale go through the pain he goes through as he sees his opposite and equal reaction try to destroy everything he's fought for. It's a really powerful movie, and Harvey Dent's character is really well handled, and I always thought Two-Face was a silly, stupid thing to try to do in a movie until I saw Aaron Eckhart. His performance just changed my mind about Two-Face. The way that he looked, the way that he acted, his character arc, everything about it worked well. The action sequences are breathtaking, but they're not overused. It's not we're just going to make you watch explosions for 2.5 hours like Transformers. There's actual characters, there's actual storylines, there's depth. It's really about post 9/11 America and how superheroes it really shows superheroes reflecting the changes in our culture. It's a powerful movie because it shows the battle between chaos and justice. Of course, chaos being the Joker, justice being Batman. It's a really powerful movie. It's very long, it's very dark, but it's an incredible movie, and it inspires me, and I hope I can write superhero stories as deep and worth watching over and over and as layered as that movie was, and it deserves a lot of praise. My number 1 favorite Christopher Nolan movie, which will make my mom happy because she's always told me that's better than The Dark Knight, and I've always tried to say it's not, but it really is Inception. Inception is just one of the most ambitious summer blockbusters I've ever seen. Yes, it is like The Matrix to a point, but taking dreams and making a story about people who go in people's dreams and steal things and create ideas in people's lives that change their lives forever is just really clever. And the way that they do the action sequences are like Bond style sometimes, which means they're thrilling, they're cinematic. So you have the blockbuster action that's thrill everybody. You have the bold ideas about what does time really mean? How do you handle the time you're given? And why do you choose when the person you love most is lost and completely just chosen the wrong path? And there's all kinds of great ideas in there, and there's great performances because you got Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Ellen Page, Michael Caine's in it. It's a brilliant movie because it makes you think. The ending can be interpreted in different ways. You can interpret it as it doesn't matter if it's real or not. You can say it's real, you can say it's not real. But I think the point was that you're supposed to question your reality to a point, and the fact that gets you to wonder if it's real or not at the end means that Christopher Nolan got you to question your reality, which means he achieved his goal. And that this movie is about how our reality affects who we are, what we do, who we become, and the fact that it's such a layered movie that you can just watch for fun because of how it looks visually. It's a movie that you can think about and debate about and discuss what all it means and how the rules work, because some people have a bunch of theories about the totems and so on. And it's just, for me, it's the best Christopher Nolan movie because it's the most ambitious one he's made. It's the best combination of his dry humor and action and ideas, and it's entertaining throughout, and it just takes his best filmmaking aspects to another level, and that's why it's the best Christopher Nolan movie ever made. And as you know, his newest movie, Dunkirk, comes out on Friday or late tonight if you want to go see it early, like at 7 or so. And it's got great reviews, and it's a World War II movie, and it should be good, I hope. It's PG-13, and it's less than 2 hours, which is great because his last couple movies have been close to 3 hours, so I'm excited for it. I don't know if I get to see it this weekend, but I hope to get to see it because he's an inspirational filmmaker who just never gives up on his dreams and always proves that there's more ambition to be had in movies, and he proves that there's more to making blockbusters than just throwing explosions at people's faces. So anyway, this is my first video for Movie-holics Anonymous. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what I can do better. Obviously, this is not professional lighting, it's not professional video quality. This is very rough draft, spur of the moment thing I did because I want to experiment with doing videos for you guys. So just tell me what you want me to do and tell me what you think of this list. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree? What's your favorite Christopher Nolan movie? Let me know in the comment section, and hope you have a great day, guys. Thank you.